Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Jewel here once again, and once again I am from the likes of from the Maxi Toys videos, and welcome back for more of the forms of the Mega Man Marathon 2 selections of Let's Plays. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mega Man The Wily Wars for the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis for those of you who lived in America. So, last time we've basically managed to able to complete everything in Mega Man 1. Thank God, it's nowhere near as frustrating as the forms of how it does it on the original NES version of the game, I must say. Especially noticeable with the forms of some slight improvements here and there, but ultimately speaking though is the fact that thanks to the forms of the Mega Drive version of the game, that it does manage to slow down some portions of certain attacks, most notably with the Yellow Devil, and as well as the forms of Wily Machine 1 in its final phase. So either way though, I'm pretty much proud for myself for able to actually accomplish Mega Man 1 again, except this time on 16-bit. So today for this video is the fact that we are moving on to the next game in terms of Mega Man The Wily Wars, and this time we're going to be hit on to everyone's fan favorite game, and it's also one of the popular Mega Man games of all time, which is of course, I'm talking about Mega Man 2. So of course this game obviously came out originally on the NES in 1989, if I recall correctly, the same year as The Little Mermaid came out, as well as License to Kill, James Bond movie, and all the other jazz. Now as you can see on this title sequence, as you can see, that since the logo is actually a little bit different, much like the forms of how it does it on Mega Man 1, and eventually Mega Man 3 that we'll get into later. So as you notice on this title screen right here, we no longer have two optional difficulties, which there are normal and difficult mode, because either way though, we'll point it out whenever we dive right in. So in this case though, once again we have 8 robot masters to our disposal. So of course we'll start things off with Airman, and we'll pretty much have to end things off with Woodman basically. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same order. But here's the thing though this time around though, I'll get to more details about that in a moment later. So here we are, on to Mega Man 2 within 16-bit. So as to be expected, the visuals look very identical to the likes of a Mega Man 1 game on Mega Man The Wily Wars, so I don't think there's anything that much different from this point right here. So yeah, you probably get the idea about that specific topic worth noting for the sake of time. So I digress. So yeah, today's day is of course the 26th of August today, in its case in 2022 today. So conveniently enough, it's the fact that we've only got about, just roughly about a month left until My Little Pony Make Your Mark Netflix series is going to be able to actually get started until next month actually, which it was supposed to be able to get started until 26th of September. So I'm still very curious to double check it out, but ultimately though is the fact that maybe it's just me, but I'm pretty sure it might be actually be kind of hard for me to able to try to cope with the forms of the recast voice actors, so mainly for the main 5 most likely. So because of that though, hopefully I'll try to get used to it in the future though, but for now on we're just going to have to wait until about a month later at this point, especially noticeable because obviously ever since about 3 months ago that we've already technically seen, usually relatively speaking, that we've already seen that one of those special already on Netflix, which is of course Make Your Mark, as a the G5 special already. So, and hopefully by that time until likely the next few months later, specifically 3 months later during that time, that we might able to actually see the Christmas special, which is of course Winter Wish Day. So because of that though, hopefully it should be interesting, especially noticeable because, well, I'm still very glad that we're actually getting ourselves some more infos on, you know what I mean, with G5 rendition of My Little Pony stuff. So yeah, I'm very pleased about that, despite I was still a bit mixed upon the forms of the recast voice actors, because I'm still used to with a new generation movies voice cast, because obviously one of them usually just gets like a familiar voice from the likes of, High School Musical trilogy, as well as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and also one of those YouTube celebrity, and also, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog movies, specifically live action and animated hybrids and stuff like that, I have no idea. And of course, with the forms of the Descendants trilogy as well, from, well, you know what I mean. So, anyway, so we took down Iron Man, as you can see, and because since I'm actually going to be using this pretty quick technique by simply just taking invincibility frames if I somehow get hit by those little whirlwinds, as far as you see, and then basically I can take him down no problem for the likes of the Iron Man. So, how's that for that one? So, now after we're done with that, then we're actually able to receive a message from Dr. Light, so this means I'm able to actually access to Item 2, which still, it is a bit of a lame names for one of those special items that you might consider getting, but it knows what it is. And thankfully, unlike the original version of Mega Man 2, thank God you don't need to able to deal with the forms of the password system, because obviously that we're now able to actually replace the password system as in save files. So yeah, that's actually super dope and awesome at the same time. So yeah, you get the idea about that. So whilst unlike the forms of how it does it on Mega Man 4, 5, and 6, and especially 7's case, that you still need to rely on passwords features and stuff like that, but again, that's usually how back in the day that was. They always attempted able to bring up with like passwords here and there, but it knows where it stands. So anyways, let's go ahead and deal with the forms of the next stage, which is of course Crash Man. So hopefully this stage should be a total cakewalk if we managed able to do so already. So but yeah, there's not much else I can say apart from the fact that, well, I suppose I've already mentioned about the forms of some brief moments here and there when it comes to gaming-related stuff from yesterday. I think I was able to do something completely different when it comes to likely doing some discussions at that point. And that is the forms of ever since about, God knows, too many years ago, that I've managed to able to done a massive research on certain things, that most of any other films, from the likes of in 1922, all the way up to, let's just say, in 2012, I actually did manage to able to actually just have found out some of this, you know, good box office performance throughout the years, from ever since likely 100 years ago, whenever they did manage to did some filming from the likes of in the past long years ago. Well, I apologize for that weird commentary for the sake of time, because, well, honestly, there's not much else you can honestly try to talk about for the actual the game itself, or especially noticeable with the aesthetics of well, just anything else for that matter. So anywho, so let's just go ahead and deal with these annoying birds. But thankfully though, those birds, the mini birds like enemies and all that stuff though, that thankfully though, they are pretty easy to dodge though this time around though. I'm guessing so anyway. Because unlike the forms of how it does it on the original NES version of the game, I'm pretty sure they keep on homing on you. Whilst in here though, I'm pretty sure they're going to specific direction that you were at. I'm pretty sure, although I may be wrong. But either way though, now let's go ahead and take on the next Robot Master, which like I said is Crash Man. But of course, since I've only got a little amount of health left, so unfortunately though, I was able to actually sacrifice myself by ram into him, and then thankfully the checkpoint is right where the boss was actually located, so thankfully I don't need to worry about trying to restart the whole entire stage again. So yeah, that begs the question throughout. So, and of course that's this is the introduction to the forms of the energy tanks, which unlike Mega Man 3 and onwards, that basically though you only carry up to 4 of those energy tanks, whilst, you know, same applies to the forms of in Mega Man 7, that you also need to carry up to 4 energy tanks to spare. So because of that though, yeah, there's not much else I can honestly try to mentioning about. Whilst, you know, unlike Mega Man 8 and Mega Man and Base, that those games do not have any of those energy tanks, none whatsoever. So anyway, so now we got ourselves a Crash Bomber, so I guess that's pretty cool throughout. Now, I'm going to do something completely different for this point, because I was expecting to try to take on the forms of Metal Man, but I think I'm also able to take on Flash Man instead. because I believe unlike the forms of how it does it on the NES version of that particular Let's Play of Mega Man 2, I'm pretty sure that Sonic did manage able to face off against with Metal Man first, but after or before he is hit onto Flash Man and Quick Man and Bubble Man and etc, etc. So that's why I'm gonna decide to do this a little bit differently. Although, structurally speaking, it might actually be exactly the same as the forms of how it does it on any other playthroughs of Mega Man 2 at this point in time. So, yeah, because relatively speaking, this is our second time playing through Mega Man 2, basically. Because we already, you know, like I said, we've already done the 8-bit version on the NES, and now we're going to be moving on to the 16-bit version on the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis. Although there's technically the third version of Mega Man 2, but it is really rubbish, which appears to be released by Tiger Electronics, which appears to be, you know, with that particular kind of, I'm not gonna lie, kind of an infamous company, I'm not gonna lie, because as far as I'm aware, that it's all about LCD stuff, and then you weren't able to go for like endurance runs or something like that. Although, mind you, it's been donkey's years since I actually known about, you know, Tiger Electronics for certain devices and all that stuff, because, well, as far as like I said, it's just the fact that, well, it's not my cup of tea. But I definitely heard some interesting news with Tiger Electronics, and also at the same time, kind of unfortunate events, such as for instance with the forms of, well, you know what I mean, with the game COM, that basically that particular device is flops, so. Anyways, let's go and use our energy tank. I was expecting if I was trying to go after that energy tank as I accidentally missed, because obviously this place is filled to the brim with like slippery, icy physics here and there, but we'll just have to go with it, I think. So hopefully we'll be able to get some more energy tanks throughout the majority of the game in the future. So of course, I was expecting if I was going to be able to actually use the Crash Bomber against with, you know, Flashman, but because of how the fact that, relatively speaking, I think I did manage to test it on my own time on the NES version, on the NES Classic, that whenever I managed to play Mega Man 2, but for some reason that Crash Bomber, I will say it doesn't do that much damage though, but regardless of everything else though, I just want to classify that, and of course I will get freezing up or something like that, but just quite enough shots on the forms of Flashman with all the Mega Buster and stuff, and that should deal with Flashman, so that's all for that. And I believe the next stage we're going to be hitting to next is obviously Quick Man, which I will still say this right now, that Quick Man stage is by far still one of the hardest levels in the game, along with the forms of another one too. But then again, we'll talk more about that during tomorrow anyway, as soon as we're able to actually get on with the forms of the continuation of Mega Man The Wily Wars, basically. So yeah, let me know in the comments below for the question of the day. Are you still excited for some bronies out there for able to actually just to finally get a chance to see the actual proper series on Netflix, which is of course My Little Pony Make Your Mark series is about to be coming until next month, because I would like to hear your thoughts, because either way though, it will be very good to see the G5 characters again, but with the forms of a similar style as the forms of how it does it on a new generation movie, along with the forms of that particular special ever since on May, so specifically May 26th, basically. So although that particular style was remarkably different than the forms of how it does it on well, let's just say Tell Your Tale, because obviously My Little Pony Tell Your Tale is obviously inspired by like 2D animation, so although I don't mind it about it too much, except the fact that the faces themselves look a bit weird sometimes, I must admit, even though it does remind me of a lot of those 2D illustrations of those ponies from the likes of some of those merchandises, such as for instance pajamas, t-shirts, and also bed sheets and all that stuff, whatever I double check on those anyway, along with the forms of the calendar occasionally as well. But either way though, it knows where it stands, so. And unfortunately though, is the fact that we've only got about I would say we've got 3 more days left until this very unfortunate news for certain Wii U owners as well as the 3DS owners during the exact same portion, because, well, then again, I suppose we should probably talk more details about that whenever we get into the forms of the third game of the Mega Man The Wily Wars compilation. So of course that will be Mega Man 3, so, but we'll get into that eventually. So, oh, these death lasers. But thankfully we've avoided that, so, oh jeez, I somehow got hit by those things very easily. Especially noticeable. I honestly have no idea of how I supposed to deal with them. Within, like, the Mega Buster that does a little bit of damage, but as far as I'm aware, I can never seem able to find, the actual proper, weapon weakness to it. But still, I was expecting if I was trying to able to research on it, but somehow I just give up on it, so... Anyways, let's go ahead and commit suicide, try to compete against with, or trying to first thing against with, Quickman, because obviously there's no way I can able to deal with him with a little amount of health, so I'm just gonna have to, you know, sacrifice my, life, as you probably already saw, and able to take him on for reals, so hopefully we can able to just get ourselves the, well, just, quick boomerang, as far as for his, this particular weapons case, so... Anyways, so, of course, if you manage to be able to actually use the Flash Stopper, if you're trying to face off against with Quickman, that obviously it deals half the amount of damage. But obviously, I think to me that Quickman is still as one of the hardest robot masters to take. I can't speak for this point today, because either way though, I was expecting if I was trying to say something specific, but I think my tongue is actually getting a bit twisty, so... Anyway, because I think Quickman is easily one of the hardest robot masters to tackle, because obviously he runs way too fast, and also some of the actual movements are horribly erratic and all that stuff though. But either way though, once we get enough hits on him with the actual Mega Buster itself, and we should able to take him down just like that. Whew! That takes care of Quickman, so now we've actually got ourselves the Quick Boomerang with us. So I think we can probably now move on to the forms of Metal Man now. So because of that though, and hopefully we were able to actually claim ourselves the best weapon in the entire game, which is of course, you know, Metal Blade. So that'll be really wicked and awesome because you can able to aim on any directions. So anyway, so we'll just hit in there right now. So I'm surprised that we actually are on the halfway point where it comes to those robot masters to deal with on the likes of Mega Man 2. So yeah, that's actually super duper quick. That's what I meant to say for this point. So, because again, it's been about quite a few hours since I actually did last touch upon the forms of this. Because it's especially noticeable that recently I just been busy, just managed able to actually decide to able to take a nice sunny relaxation for this point today. Especially noticeable because the weather itself is once again super good, certainly a lot more better than the forms of what I think Pac-Man has already mentioned about this ever since in a Wario Land 4 Let's Play, along with the forms of the medal table count from the likes of the forms of the Beijing Winter Olympics this year. That basically though is the fact that, well, basically it's gone bloody windy, sorry for that language by the way, but I mean let's face it though, is the fact that well, that usually happens during the exact same time as what Pac-Man is already exploring through Ice Palace level from the likes of the Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. So yeah, I guess that's all there is to it. So anyways, I think I'm also able to fancy getting myself an extra life here, so we can just use the item 2, so that way we can able to create an extra platform to get up there. And basically this place is filled to the brim with those conveyor belts. Sorry for the actual commentary, it gets a little bit more, I don't know, awkward, because, well, I was trying to say something, but either way though, it's just my tongue is actually keep twisting all of a sudden whenever I was trying to say something specific. But hopefully until the next video tomorrow, then I should be able to actually get my commentary sorted and done with. So anyways, let's go ahead and take care of those little oh, another 1-up. Oh jeez, this is gonna be awesome. Just like the forms of how it does it on Mega Man 1, that basically we was able to get a whole bunch of extra lives, which I will say this might be actually be one of the easiest things to able to come across, which sure it usually doesn't happen that often, but either way though, still, it can be kind of random sometimes when it comes to item pickups and such, so... is this how I do it? There we go. So that way I can able to actually just to continue things onwards, so either way though. Although, that for the sake of trying to able to face off against with, you know, Metal Man, actually kind of think about it. I was gonna able to try to save up my, energy tank, but I'm actually gonna be able to take another sacrifice again, because, well, like the forms of how it does it on, you know, Crash Man and, you know, Quick Man, so I figure I might as well able to take another life away by, once again, ram into him on that particular conveyor belt direction, so, because I just thought I might as well do that, so, I wonder if we can able to take him down with the actual quick burrowing and what have you, because I know for the fact that Sonic has never done this before, so, I think it do some bit of damage though, but it might be kind of effective, so, I suppose that we'll able to take care of him from here, so, oh, jeez. Especially noticeable, we have to deal with him on that conveyor belt, which makes things a bit trickier still, but regardless of such, we still kick his butt, no problem. Wowzers! Alright. Nicely done for that particular part right there. And we should able to get ourselves, like I said, Metal Blade. So, pretty awesome weapon indeed. Especially with this pretty satisfying color scheme of Mega Man with that particular weapon he's got equipped. So, now it's going to move on to Bubble Man. So, should be a piece of cake with Metal Blade in our hands. And also, Quick Burrowing for certain situations. But we'll see what happens there. Oh yeah, I should probably point things out as well, is the fact that I suppose I forgot to mention about this as well, I think. That, I believe we've only got about... Oh jeez, I almost got myself my knockback all of a sudden. Until specifically on the 29th of August, around the same time as the sad, unfortunate news for the Wii U owners and the 3DS owners. Basically though, is the fact that ensuing at some point on, you know, 29th of August, well, to be more specifically... if I classify for saying until next Monday and stuff like that, that's basically though is the fact that Mario Plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle for the Nintendo Switch will be definitely become 5 years old. So yeah, time flies, doesn't it? Especially noticeable that I still haven't exactly played the game that much because, well, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the game, but it's so flipping hard. Especially noticeable, I'm still stuck on one of those tough bosses, and especially noticeable with certain enemy encounters that just able to actually think it's kind of impossible for me to able to progress. Especially noticeable, I'm not exactly a great master when it comes to likely grid-based battle system. You know, it's kind of like the forms of Fire Emblem to be exact. But except the fact that we can able to actually just to take control of, well, Bebo in order able to actually navigate through the actual titles and all that stuff. So, and also it does remind me of the forms of, you know, the entire boards of Mario Party Star Rush and the Top 100 respectively. So I guess that's that, I suppose, but still. So anyway, let's get into the forms of that another discussion for this point, and that is the fact that I've managed to research on something, and that is the fact that, what's to say, if we look back on the forms of about 100 years ago, jeez Louise, 100 years ago, that was in the forms of in 1922, that certain films did manage to able to make their top 10 box office performance does it great, or that was actually the worst English I've ever actually said. What I mean by that is the fact that how well those films did really well when it comes to the box office performance from that year, which is of course I'm talking about 1922. So in this case though, here they are. So I think there are 10 of those films that did manage to make it in the top 10 best box office performance in that year in 1922. So here we go. Number 10 is A Dangerous Adventure. Never heard of it, but at least I might give that a shot at some point. And number 9 is Your Best Friend. Number 8 is The Beautiful and Damned. And number 7 goes to Heroes Off the Street. And number 6 is Rigs to Riches. And number 5 is Smiling Through. And number 4 is Grandma's Boy. And number 3 is Blood and Sand. Okay, that seems a bit interesting. And number 2 is When Night Halls Was in Flower. Okay. And finally, number 1 box office performance in the likes of 1922 is The Forms of Robin Hood. So, not the Disney counterpart, because that particular version doesn't came out until 1973, the same year as Live and Let Die, the James Bond film, for I've noticed. So, yeah, that's actually something. And as for The Forms of 1932, well, there are quite a few films that did manage to make it to the top 10 best box office performance throughout the that year too. Like, I did manage to able to found 10 of those films that did make it to the top 10 though. So, number 10 goes to Backstreet. Never heard of it, but I guess that's something. Number 9 is Strange in Ultralate. I think that's what it's called anyway. And number 8 is Smiling Through, apparently? Okay, that's interesting to know. Number 7 is 1 Hour With You. Okay. Number 6 goes to Tarzan the Ape Man, just before Disney version came out in 1999. But either way though, I haven't exactly looked upon that much of box office on 1999 for such a quite a while. So either way though, well, at least we're hoping that we're able to discuss more about that whenever we get into 2024 for about, you know, let's just say in 2 years time basically. Oh, those disappearing blocks just manage to irritate me sometimes. But on the upside is though, is the fact that whenever we get to Mega Man 3 on this entire Mega Man the Wily Wars, then basically we're able to come across into this very useful item. So, or should I say, the useful companion throughout the majority of the entire Mega Man series as a result. But then again, let's not get ahead of ourselves at this point right now. So, anyways, let's use item 2 to able to skip this entire sequence of those series of disappearing blocks. And if you touch the lava, it's instant death, by the way, so just be very careful. So, well, thank God we actually got ourselves item 2, so that way we're able to skip past through it. Even though it's kind of a shame that we wasted it all, so, oh well, no big deal, because thankfully, if you complete the stage and hit on to the next stage, then basically we're able to get our weapons revealed completely. So, at the very least, that's that. Although, whenever we move on to the forms of the fourth and the final game of this entire compilation of Mega Man the Wily Wars, well, I'm sure I'll talk more about that until whenever we get to that point, until, let's just say, almost towards the very end of the month of August entirely. So, anyways, let's go and take on Heatman, as you can see, and his move pattern is actually a little bit more slower than he forms of how it does it on the NES counterparts, which means it can be pretty easy though, but it might be sometimes awkward to handle for some of you all. But regardless of such though, he is way more easier than the forms of how it does in the original this time, so I guess that's that. So anyway, we now actually got ourselves a tonic fire, so that way we can able to build up our shot for some good amount of damage for certain stuff. And we got ourselves our final message for Dr. Light, and this means we've now got Item 1, which basically actually creates propeller platforms, so that way you can able to create them, or try to place them in someplace elsewhere. So, but then again though, we'll probably not gonna use Item 1 until whenever we get to the, well, let's just say, towards the end game of Mega Man 2, basically. So, anyways, let's move on to the final Robot Master in Mega Man 2, which is, of course, Woodman. So, I always tend to able to save him for last, because, for whatever reason, whenever I managed the first time experiencing Mega Man 2 on my Wii Virtual Console library, for some reason, I always attempt to pick Woodman first. I have no idea why, I just managed to choose that. Well, mind you though, because it was kind of newbie for me back in the day, but either way though, it knows what it is. So, anyways, what was I? Oh yeah, the halfway point of the highest grossing films when it comes to box office performance from 1932. I already mentioned about the films of the previous 5 already, so I'm basically now moved on to the another 5. So, number 5 goes to Prosperity. I think that's what it says anyway. I do apologize for that mispronunciation of certain films, because obviously it has been about quite a few months ago since I actually last heard about the forms of box office film lists, ever since, let's just say, back in the beginning of the whole entire year of 2022 so far. But anyway, number 4 goes to Grand Hotel. Never heard of it, but at least it might be interesting though. Well, I've heard about it anyway, but I've never actually seen any reviews of it though. Number 3 goes to Helldivers. Okay. And number 2 goes to Emma. And finally, number 1, where it comes to the best box office performance in that year in 1932, which is, geez, 90 years ago. And that's what appears to be The Kid from Spain. So, yeah, that's actually interesting. Despite the fact that unlike in the present day or the future years, that the box office gets a lot more gigantic every once in a while, well, at least to be more specifically, like for example with Avengers Endgame and of course Spider-Man No Way Home. So at the very least that the box office has now reached up to like billions of dollars. So yeah, it's very impressive with all these films they actually made and then managed able to improve upon it for its sake of quality. So, which I have no idea why I'm saying for this point right about now, because, well, like I said, it's been like, you know, a couple of months ago since I actually managed able to done massive research on certain box office for certain films every now and then, but either way though, oh, I'm surprised I managed able to avoid these guys no problem. So, anyway, so I think we was able to try to take on Woodman, as in Metal Blade. I know technically that atomic fire was actually Woodman's weakness, but for some reason I just ended up choosing Metal Blade instead, because I have no idea why. But either way though, he can be pretty tough though, because obviously I swear to God that every time when I was trying to jump over for those piles of leaves, whenever he starts able to do that attack like that, I swear that sometimes I always get hit by these things, which does a lot of my damage. But hopefully though, we'll try to take him down with like last few saw blades, and there we go. Woodman is being vanquished. Well, until for later on anyway though, until we get to the very end of Mega Man 2. So anyway, that's all the 8 Robot Masters out of the way, and we actually got ourselves our Leaf Shield, so I'm guessing we all sorted for the sake of those weapons and all that stuff. So anyway, so let's go ahead and end things off at this point right here, so join me next time for more of Let's Play of Mega Man The Wily Wars, and that is the fact that we'll wrap things up in Mega Man 2 by tackling through the Dr. Wily's fortress. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later, fellas.